Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into the fascinating story of something you probably have tucked away in a drawer or stuck on your fridge, the humble postcard. It seems so simple, right? A picture on one side, a message on the other. But where did this brilliant idea come from? Let's rewind the clock and send ourselves back to the 19th century to find out. Our story begins not with a picture, but with a problem. In the mid-1800s, sending a letter was the primary way to communicate over long distances. But it was often a formal, time-consuming, and sometimes expensive process. You had to find paper, write a lengthy message, fold it just right, place it in an envelope, and then seal it. What if you just wanted to send a quick hello or confirm you'd arrived safely? It felt like using a sledgehammer to crack a nut. People were looking for a faster, cheaper, and more casual way to stay in touch. The wheels of innovation started turning, and the big question was, could we send a message without an envelope? This was a radical idea at the time. Mail was considered private, and the thought of a letter carrier reading your personal notes was, well, a bit scandalous to some. The first significant breakthrough came from the Austro-Hungarian Empire. In 1869, an economics professor named Dr. Emanuel Hermann proposed a revolutionary concept. He published an article arguing for a practical, inexpensive method for brief communications. He envisioned a light, small, pre-stamped card that could be sent through the mail system for a fraction of the cost of a letter. He called it the correspondence card, which translates to correspondence card. Hermann's idea was brilliant because it was simple and efficient. He argued that not all communication needed the privacy of a sealed envelope. For quick business notes, appointment reminders, or simple family updates, an open card would be perfectly fine. He pitched this directly to the Austrian postal authorities, and surprisingly, they loved it. They saw the potential for a massive new revenue stream and a way to make the postal service more accessible to everyone. So, on October 1st, 1869, history was made. The world's first official postcard was issued by the Austrian Post. It was a simple, light brown rectangular card, completely blank on one side for the message. The other side had the pre-printed stamp and space for the address. There were no pictures, no glossy finishes, just pure, unadulterated function. And the public reaction? It was an absolute sensation. In the first month alone, over 1.5 million of these correspondence cartons were sold. People embraced the ease and affordability. For the first time, you could send a quick note across town or across the country for a minimal fee, without the fuss of a traditional letter. It was the 19th century equivalent of sending a text message. The idea was a runaway success. Seeing the incredible popularity in Austria, other countries quickly took notice. Just next door, in the North German Confederation, what would soon become part of the German Empire, a similar idea had been brewing. In fact, a man named Heinrich von Stephan, who would later become a key figure in German postal history, had proposed a similar open postsheet concept back in 1865. However, his idea was initially rejected, partly due to those very concerns about privacy. But Austria's success changed everything. It proved that people were ready for this new form of communication. So in July of 1870, Germany followed suit and issued its own version of the postcard. Other nations joined the trend in rapid succession. France and Great Britain got on board in 1870, and the United States officially authorized its first government-produced postcard in 1873. The early postcards were purely for messages. The idea of adding an image hadn't become mainstream yet. They were tools of efficiency, born from a desire to make communication faster and more democratic. But this simple blank card laid the groundwork for a visual revolution. It created a new medium, a small canvas that was just waiting for an artist, a photographer, or a clever advertiser to come along and fill the space. And that's exactly what happened next. The blank card was about to get a major makeover, transforming from a simple messaging tool into a global phenomenon of art, travel, and personal expression. The era of the picture postcard was just around the corner, and it would change the way we see the world forever. But that's a story for our next video. We'll explore how pictures made their way onto these cards. From early advertisements and exposition souvenirs to the stunning, full-color travel views that defined the golden age of postcards. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey back in time. If you found this story as fascinating as I did, please give this video a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel so you don't miss the next chapter. Hit that notification bell, and I'll see you in the next one. Have you ever received a postcard and wondered, how did this little piece of cardboard become such a big deal? Well, get ready, because today we're diving into the story of how a simple change in postage price completely revolutionized the way we connect with each other. This is the story of the penny postcard. Before the late 1800s, sending a message was often a luxury. Mail was expensive, complicated, and priced by distance and weight. For the average person, writing to a cousin in the next state over was a significant expense, something you'd only do for very important news. Imagine having to save up just to send a short note. It kept people, especially families and friends spread far and wide, from staying in touch regularly. The world felt a lot bigger and more disconnected back then. But then, a revolutionary idea started to take hold. What if sending a short message was as cheap as buying a piece of candy? This was the dawn of the penny post. In the 1870s, countries around the world began to introduce pre-stamped postcards that could be sent for a single tiny coin, a penny, in the US and UK. This wasn't just a price drop. It was a cultural earthquake. Suddenly, communication was democratized. Think about the impact. For the first time, factory workers, farmers, shop clerks, everyone could afford to send a quick hello, a thinking of you, or a wish you were here. It was the text message of the Victorian era. You didn't need to write a long, formal letter. You could just jot down a few lines on the back of a picture and pop it in the mail. This affordability transformed postcards from a novelty for the rich into an everyday tool for the masses. This new accessibility sparked an absolute craze. People started collecting postcards, trading them like baseball cards. They sent them for birthdays, holidays, or just to share a funny thought. Mail carriers found their bags overflowing with these colorful little rectangles. In the early 1900s, at the peak of what's known as the golden age of postcards, billions, yes, billions with a B of postcards were sent every single year. The penny postcard wasn't just about sending greetings. It became a vital source of information and the window to the world. In an age before widespread photography in newspapers and magazines, postcards were how people saw the world. They featured images of faraway landmarks like the Eiffel Tower or the pyramids, showcased the grand new buildings in their own cities, and even documented major events, acting as a kind of visual news report. Want to show your family back on the farm what the new town hall looks like? Send a postcard. Want to share the excitement of visiting the World's Fair? Send a postcard. These images traveled across countries and oceans, educating people and fueling their curiosity about places they might never visit in person. It was social media, but on paper. People would have albums filled with postcards from friends and family, creating a visual diary of their social connections and the world at large. The design of the postcard itself also evolved because of this boom. Initially, the entire back of the card was reserved for the address. Any message had to be squeezed onto the front, often written over the picture itself. This was called the undivided back era. But people wanted more space to write. So, in the early 1900s, the divided back postcard was introduced. This is the format we know today, with a line down the middle, one side for the address and the other for the message. This simple design change was a direct response to how people were using these cards, giving them the freedom to write more freely. The penny postcard did more than just make mail cheaper. It changed our social habits. It made it normal to maintain casual, frequent contact with loved ones over long distances. It shortened the perceived distance between people, making families feel closer and friendships stronger, even when separated by hundreds of miles. It nurtured a culture of sharing, of quick check-ins, and of visual storytelling that laid the groundwork for the way we communicate today. So the next time you see an old postcard in an antique shop, take a closer look. That's not just a piece of faded cardboard. It's a symbol of a communication revolution. It's a testament to the power of a simple, affordable idea that connected the world one penny at a time. It's a tiny piece of paper that carries a huge story about how we learn to share our lives with each other. Thanks so much for joining me on this journey back in time. If you found this story fascinating, imagine what else is hiding in the history of everyday objects. Be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our next exploration. Drop a comment below and let me know the most interesting postcard you've ever received. Have you ever received a postcard and just stared at the picture on the front, maybe a beautiful beach or a famous landmark? Well, there was a time when that picture was the most exciting thing about the postcard, a real revolution in how we communicated. Welcome back to our journey through the history of the postcard. Today, we're diving into the era when postcards blossomed into vibrant canvases for greetings. In the late 19th century, something magical happened. Technology, specifically advances in printing like chromolithography, made it possible to mass-produce colorful images. Suddenly, postcards weren't just boring playing cards for a quick message. They became miniature works of art that you could send through the mail. Imagine the excitement. Instead of a simple note, you could send a friend a stunning bouquet of roses that would never wilt, or a breathtaking view of the Swiss Alps, even if you'd never been there. This was the golden age of postcards, roughly from the 1890s to the start of World War I. People went crazy for them. Collecting postcards became a massive hobby, kind of like how people collect sneakers or vinyl records today. Postcard albums were a staple in every respectable parlor. It was a way to travel the world from your armchair, to see places you could only dream of visiting. So, what kind of pictures were popular? Well, pretty much everything you can imagine. Floral designs were a huge hit. Violets for faithfulness, roses for love, lily for purity. Every flower had a meaning, turning the postcard into a secret message, a Victorian-era emoji, if you will. You could send a whole bouquet of feelings for just a penny. These weren't just simple drawings either. They were often beautifully detailed, embossed, and sometimes even had a little glitter, or frosting, as they called it, to make them sparkle. Then there were the landscapes. Oh, the landscapes. Before everyone had a camera in their pocket, postcards were the primary way to share scenic views. Majestic mountains, serene lakes, and charming countrysides were all popular subjects. These images weren't just pretty pictures. They fueled a sense of wonder and wanderlust. They were advertisements for the beauty of the world, encouraging people to travel and explore. Sending a postcard from a holiday spot was the ultimate wish you were here, a tangible piece of your adventure shared with loved ones back home. And of course, we can't forget the greetings. The postcard became the go-to medium for every occasion. Birthdays, Christmas, Easter, New Year's, you name it, there was a postcard for it. Christmas postcards were particularly lavish, featuring everything from serene nativity scenes and angelic figures to jolly red-suited Santas and scenes of snowy Victorian villages. Easter cards were filled with chicks, bunnies, and spring flowers, symbols of new life and rebirth. These seasonal cards weren't just greetings. They were part of the holiday tradition itself, decking the halls and mantelpieces of homes everywhere. Artists of the day saw a huge opportunity in postcards. Many famous illustrators like Alphonse Mucha in the Art Nouveau style, or the whimsical British artist Louis Wain, known for his comical cats, created postcard series. Their work turned these simple pieces of card into collectible art. People would hunt for specific artists' cards to complete their collections. It was a democratization of art. For a very small price, anyone could own a beautiful image created by a renowned artist. The themes became incredibly diverse. There were patriotic cards with flags and soldiers, especially during times of conflict. There were humorous, comic-style postcards that poked fun at daily life, courtship, or new technologies like the automobile. There were even advertising postcards, promoting everything from soap to sewing machines. The postcard was a mirror reflecting the interests, humors, and anxieties of the era. It captured the zeitgeist in a way few other things could. Think about the social impact. Sending and receiving these illustrated cards became a daily ritual for many. The mailman might come 2 or 3 times a day, and each delivery could bring a new picture. A new message from a friend or family member. It was the social media of its time. Your postcard album was like your Instagram feed, a curated collection of memories, travels, and connections with people you cared about. It was a visual diary of your social life. For example, a young woman might receive a postcard with a beautiful, romantic painting from a suitor. A son traveling abroad could send his parents a card showing the Eiffel Tower, assuring them he was having a grand time. A friend could send a funny cat postcard just to share a laugh. Each card was a small personal gesture that strengthened bonds and kept people connected, even across great distances. This explosion of imagery also taught people about the world. A child in a small rural village could see what the bustling streets of New York City looked like. Someone in America could get a glimpse of ancient Egyptian pyramids. The postcard was an educational tool, broadening horizons and fostering a sense of global community long before the internet. So the next time you see an old postcard in an antique shop, take a closer look at the illustration. It's not just a picture. It's a piece of history, a work of art, and a symbol of a time when a simple piece of card could carry a world of meaning, beauty, and connection. It's a testament to our enduring need to share our lives, our feelings, and the beauty we see in the world with the people who matter most. Thanks so much for joining me on this colorful chapter of the postcard story. If you enjoyed this journey back in time, please give this video a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you won't miss our next episode, where we'll explore how postcards documented major world events. Hey everyone, and welcome back to our journey through the fascinating history of the postcard. Today we're diving into the most romantic chapter of all, the postcard as a vessel for love. In a world before instant messaging and video calls, how did sweethearts keep the flame alive when they were miles apart? The answer, often, was the humble postcard. It was more than just paper and ink. It was a tangible piece of someone's affection, a message you could hold in your hands, reread, and treasure. Imagine this, it's the early 1900s, the golden age of postcards. You're waiting for the mail carrier, your heart fluttering with anticipation. Will there be a card from your beloved today? And when it arrives, it's not just a picture of a landmark. It's a secret world of whispered sweet nothings, shared jokes and heartfelt promises, all condensed into a few precious lines of handwritten script. The beauty of these love notes was their public yet private nature. Anyone could technically read the back of a postcard, so lovers became incredibly creative. They developed their own secret codes and inside jokes. A simple phrase like, "The weather is lovely here," might actually mean, "I miss you more than words can say," or a specific flower depicted on the front could carry a pre-agreed upon meaning, a silent message just for the two of them. One of the most charming and widespread codes was stamp language, the placement of the stamp. On the envelope or card was a message in itself. A stamp placed upside down might mean, "I love you." Tilted to the right, "Don't be so jealous." Angled to the left, "My dearest, I long to see you." It was a clever, playful way to add another layer of intimacy to their correspondence, a secret shared in plain sight. Let's look at some of these beautiful cards. Here's one with a classic forget-me-not floral design. The message on the back reads, "Thinking of you always. See you Saturday." Simple, right? But the stamp is placed perfectly upside down. This wasn't a mistake. It was a declaration. It was their way of shouting their love from the rooftops, but in a whisper only they could truly hear. These weren't just for established couples either. Postcards were a key part of courtship. A gentleman might send a lady a postcard after a pleasant meeting, testing the waters. The postcard he chose, the words he wrote, it was all part of the delicate dance of romance. Would she reply? Her response card was the answer. It was the Victorian era's version of sliding into the dim-is, but with far more elegance and anticipation. Look at the artwork on these Edwardian romance postcards. They are filled with images of cherubs, entwined hands, blooming roses, and couples gazing into each other's eyes. They were mass-produced, but when someone chose a specific card and wrote a personal message, it became uniquely theirs. This card, for example, says, "To my one and only." It was a ready-made sentiment, but the signature and the simple "yours, William" at the bottom made it a deeply personal token of affection. During wartime, these postcards took on even greater significance. For a soldier on a distant front, a postcard from home was a lifeline. It was a reminder of the love waiting for him, the reason he was fighting. The messages might be brief, constrained by military censors, but their emotional weight was immeasurable. All is well here, praying for your safe return. All my love, Eleanor. These simple words, carried across oceans and battlefields, sustained hope and connected hearts in the most trying of times. We can see how the postcard wasn't just a communication tool. It was an emotional one. It allowed people to express love, longing, and devotion in a way that felt both immediate and lasting. The time it took to choose a card, to carefully pen a message, and to post it was an act of love in itself. And the joy of receiving one was a feeling that a simple text message today can't quite replicate. These small rectangles of cardstock are windows into the hearts of people from a century ago. They show us that while technology changes, the language of love remains wonderfully constant. The desire to connect, to share your feelings, and to let someone know they are on your mind is a timeless human experience. These postcards are the beautiful, tangible proof. Thank you so much for joining me on this romantic detour into the world of postcards. It's a reminder that sometimes the most powerful messages come in the simplest packages. If you enjoyed this story, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more journeys into the past. We have more postcard stories to uncover. Have you ever received a text that just says, "I've arrived," or seen a birth announcement pop up on your social media feed? It's instant, right? Well, long before our phones buzzed with every little update, there was another, far more charming way to share quick news: the humble postcard. Welcome back to our series, The Story of the Postcard. Today, we're diving into Chapter 5, News on a Card. Imagine a world without instant messaging. Your sister has a baby, your friend finally arrives safely after a long train journey, or you just want to say you're having a good day. How do you get that news out quickly without writing a full multi-page letter? You'd grab a postcard. This was the genius of the postcard as a news medium. It was the text message of its time. The limited space on the back wasn't a drawback. It was a feature. It forced people to be concise. No need for lengthy pleasantries, just the essential, exciting information. Think of it as the original 140-character limit, but with a beautiful picture on the front. Let's look at some real-life examples. We have postcards here that say things as simple as, "Arrive safely in Paris. Weather is lovely. We'll write more soon. Love, Mary." That little message would have eased a worried mother's mind. It was a quick, cheap, and reliable way to say, "I'm okay." It was the equivalent of a check-in text. Then there were the big announcements. Births were a popular subject for postcards. You'd find cards with illustrations of storks carrying babies or cherubic infants sleeping in cribs. On the back, a proud new parent might write, "James Edward born this morning, 8 pounds 2 ounces. Mother and baby are doing well. Love, the Smiths." This one card could be sent to dozens of friends and relatives, spreading the joyous news far and wide in a matter of days. It was the original social media birth announcement, a tangible keepsake that people would tuck away in albums for years to come. But it wasn't just for monumental life events. Postcards captured the small, everyday happenings that make up a life. Think about it. You're on vacation and you see a funny sight. You don't want to write a whole letter about it, but you want to share the moment with a friend. You'd find a postcard, maybe one depicting the very landmark you're looking at, and scribble, "You wouldn't believe the size of the hats here. Thinking of you." It's a shared giggle across the miles. This is a beautiful example here. It's a simple postcard of a seaside town, and the message reads, "Finally had that ice cream we talked about. It was as good as promised. Wish you were here." This isn't groundbreaking news. It won't change the world, but it's a moment of connection. It's a way of saying, even though we're apart, you're on my mind. These small updates strengthen the bonds of friendship and family, one little cardboard rectangle at a time. This function of the postcard also served a very practical purpose for travelers. Before hotel booking websites and digital itineraries, confirming your arrival was crucial. A business traveler might send a postcard to his next client saying, arriving on the 5:15 train, "We'll see you at the office Wednesday morning." A family visiting relatives might send a card ahead. "We're on our way. Expect us by dinner time on Friday. Can't wait to see you all." This was logistics, managed through the mail. It was simple, effective, and had the added bonus of a nice picture. The postcard became a diary of life's little moments, shared with others. It wasn't just for "wish you were here" sentiments from exotic locations. It was for "guess what happened today" from your own hometown. It documented arrivals and departures, births and recoveries, good weather and bad, funny anecdotes and simple thoughts. It was a running commentary of life delivered by the postman. Think of the excitement of finding one of these in your mailbox. Among the bills and formal letters, a bright, colorful card with a handwritten message. It was a little burst of joy, a direct, personal connection to someone you cared about. You'd learn that a new baby had joined the family, or that your friend was having a wonderful time on their trip, all in the time it took to walk from the mailbox to your front door. This era highlights a fundamental human need, the desire to share our lives with others, quickly and easily. The postcard was the first technology that truly democratized this impulse. It wasn't formal, it wasn't expensive, and it wasn't complicated. It was just a card, a stamp, and a few well-chosen words to keep someone in the loop. So, the next time you fire off a quick text or post a photo update, take a moment to remember its ancestor. Remember the postcard, the original medium for news on the go. It carried the weight of our most important announcements and the lightness of our most fleeting thoughts, proving that sometimes the biggest stories can be told in the smallest of spaces. Thanks so much for joining me on this journey through the history of the postcard. If you've enjoyed this look into the past, please give this video a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you won't miss our next chapter. We'd love to have you with us. Keep sharing your stories. Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today we're diving into something you've probably seen, sent, or maybe even collected, the postcard. Specifically, we're exploring how these humble pieces of cardstock became the ultimate travel souvenir, capturing memories from seaside towns, mountain resorts, and bustling cities long before Instagram ever existed. Ready to take a trip back in time? Let's get started. So, how did this all begin? Well, the late 19th century was a boom time for travel. For the first time, thanks to expanding railway networks, middle-class families could escape the smog of the industrial city and head for the coast or the mountains. Think of the excitement. People were experiencing fresh sea air, stunning landscapes, and the thrill of being somewhere completely new. They desperately wanted a way to share this excitement and prove they were there. Enter the postcard. It was cheap, it was easy to send, and it was the perfect canvas for a quick message. Early postcards were pretty simple, often just text-based greetings. But entrepreneurs quickly realized the potential. They started printing illustrations of popular destinations. Suddenly, you could send a little piece of your vacation back home. Imagine your family receiving a colorful drawing of the Brighton Pier or a majestic sketch of the Swiss Alps. It was like a tiny window into your adventure. This was a revolution in communication. Before postcards, you had to write a long, sealed letter, which took time and effort. A postcard was immediate and public. You could write, "Having a wonderful time, wish you were here." Slap on a stamp and drop it in a postbox. It was the text message of its day, a quick visual update that said, "Look where I am." The real game changer, however, was the picture postcard. At the turn of the 20th century, printing technology improved dramatically. Publishers could now mass-produce postcards with actual photographs on them. This was huge. Now, you weren't just sending a drawing, you were sending a slice of reality. The images became the main attraction. You'd see stunning, professionally taken photos of famous landmarks, the Eiffel Tower, the Colosseum, the Statue of Liberty. These photo postcards weren't just for sending. People started collecting them. This was the birth of deltiology, the official term for postcard collecting. Travelers would buy a pack of postcards as soon as they arrived at their destination. One would be sent to Aunt Mary, another to a friend from work, and a few would be kept as personal mementos. They were tangible proof of your journey, a visual diary of the places you'd been. Seaside resorts were postcard gold mines. Every kiosk and souvenir shop was overflowing with racks of them. You could find cards showing the grand hotels, the bustling boardwalks, people sunbathing on the beach, and even comical, slightly cheeky cartoons about seaside life. These cards captured the entire atmosphere of a coastal holiday. They sold the dream of sun, sand, and relaxation. For the people back home, receiving one was a momentary escape. For the traveler, it was a perfect pocket-sized memory. The same was true for mountain resorts. Postcards from places like the Alps or the Rockies depicted breathtaking vistas, snow-capped peaks, and charming chalets. They conveyed a sense of grandeur, adventure, and fresh, clean air. They were souvenirs that spoke of conquering nature, or at least admiring it from a comfortable hotel. Sending one wasn't just sharing a view. It was sharing a feeling of awe and tranquility. And what about the big cities? Postcards became a visual checklist of must-see sights. When you visited London, you'd buy postcards of Buckingham Palace, the Tower Bridge, and a red double-decker bus. In New York, it was the Empire State Building and Times Square. These cards served a dual purpose. They were proof you'd visited the iconic spots, and they were also beautiful keepsakes that captured the energy and scale of urban life. They turned a sprawling city into a series of collectible, iconic images. Postcards weren't just about the pictures, though. The message on the back tells its own story. Flipping over an old postcard is like opening a time capsule. The brief, handwritten notes offer a glimpse into the past. The weather is glorious, or arrive safely after a long train journey. These messages, combined with the postmark and the stamp, create a rich historical artifact. They document not just the place, but a specific moment in a person's life. As the 20th century progressed, postcard designs evolved. The classic greetings from ... postcards with large block letters filled with tiny scenes became incredibly popular. Then came the glossy, hyper-saturated color photos of the 60s and 70s, reflecting a new era of mass tourism and air travel. The postcard always adapted, reflecting the visual style of its time while holding on to its core purpose: to be a simple, affordable, and beautiful souvenir. Of course, today we have smartphones. We can instantly share high-definition photos and videos with the entire world. So, has the postcard become obsolete? Not entirely. There's a certain magic to receiving a physical postcard in the mail. It shows that someone took the time to choose a card, write a message, and send it. It has a permanence and a personal touch that a digital photo just can't replicate. It's a tangible connection to a person and a place. And so the postcard lives on, not just as a tool for communication, but as a cherished souvenir. It's a small piece of art that tells a big story about travel, about connection, and about our timeless desire to share our adventures with the ones we love. They are keepsakes from a world on the move, tiny paper monuments to our journeys. Thank you so much for joining me on this trip through the history of the travel postcard. What's the best postcard you've ever received or sent? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more stories from the past. Did you know there was a time when sending a small piece of decorated card was as common as sending a text message today? We're talking about a period when billions, yes, billions of these cards flew across the globe every single year. This wasn't just a niche hobby, it was a worldwide phenomenon. Welcome to the golden age of postcards, a time from the late 1890s to the start of World War I, when this simple form of communication truly conquered the world. So, what fueled this incredible boom? Think of it as a perfect storm of innovation and social change. Firstly, printing technology took a massive leap forward. The invention of chromolithography meant that suddenly, postcards could be mass-produced in vibrant, stunning color. Gone were the days of simple, plain cards. Now, you could send a miniature work of art for a tiny price. Imagine receiving a card with a beautifully colored landscape, a bustling city scene, or a charming illustration. It was like getting a little piece of beauty delivered right to your door. Secondly, postage became incredibly cheap. In many countries, you could send a postcard for just a penny or even a half penny. This made it the most affordable way to send a quick message. People who couldn't afford to write long letters or send expensive telegrams could now easily keep in touch with friends and family. It was a democratization of communication. The postcard wasn't just for the wealthy, it was for everyone. The postman's daily round often included multiple deliveries, meaning you could send a postcard in the morning and potentially receive a reply by the afternoon. It was the instant messaging of its day. This combination of low cost and high speed transformed how people interacted. Postcards were used for everything. Going on a day trip to the seaside, you'd send a postcard back home saying, "Having a wonderful time. Wish you were here." Want to arrange a meeting with a friend? You'd pop a postcard in the mail. "Let's meet at the cafe at 3 p.m. It was faster than a letter and cheaper than a telegram. Businesses used them for advertising, lovers for secret messages, and families to share news. Every major event, from the World's Fair to a local festival, was commemorated with a set of postcards. And the subjects? Oh, the variety was endless. Of course, you had the classic tourist views of famous landmarks and scenic spots. But there was so much more. There were postcards featuring famous actors and actresses, political cartoons, humorous situations, and even advertisements. Some of the most popular were the real photo postcards. These were actual photographs printed onto postcard stock. They captured everyday life in stunning detail. A busy market street, a family posing on their porch, workers in a factory. Looking at these today is like looking through a window into the past, offering an unfiltered glimpse of what life was really like over a century ago. Collecting postcards also became a massive craze, a hobby known as deltiology. People would meticulously arrange their collections in special albums, trading with friends and seeking out rare and unusual cards. It was a way to see the world, to learn about different cultures, and to own a little piece of art. These albums became treasured family possessions, filled with messages from loved ones and images from faraway places. The act of receiving a postcard was an event in itself. The anticipation of the postman's arrival, the thrill of seeing a colorful image from a friend or relative and reading the brief, personal message on the back, it was a small but significant moment of connection. This global postcard mania wasn't just about sending pretty pictures. It reflected a world that was becoming more connected. Railways and steamships were making travel easier and more accessible for the middle class. People were moving around more than ever before, for work, for leisure, and for emigration. Postcards became the essential thread that kept them connected to the people and places they left behind. A single card could cross continents and oceans, carrying a simple message of "I'm thinking of you." It was a powerful tool for maintaining personal relationships in an increasingly mobile world. The artwork on these Golden Age postcards is also a story in itself. Many famous artists of the Art Nouveau period, like Alphonse Mucha, actually designed postcards. His elegant, flowing designs are now highly sought-after collector's items. Publishers in Germany, France, and Britain competed to produce the most beautiful and innovative cards, experimenting with embossing, glitter, and even adding small attachments like fabric or hair. Each postcard was a tiny canvas, showcasing the artistic trends and printing capabilities of the era. They weren't just communication. They were miniature masterpieces for the masses. But like all golden ages, it had to come to an end. The outbreak of World War I in 1914 dealt a devastating blow. Borders closed, censorship was imposed, and the free flow of mail was disrupted. The beautiful, optimistic scenes on postcards were replaced by propaganda and images of war. The paper and ink used for colorful cards were diverted to the war effort. More importantly, the social fabric of the world was torn apart. The cheerful, innocent era that the postcard craze represented was over. While people still sent postcards, the sheer volume and the cultural significance of the pre-war years were never quite recaptured. After the war, the world changed. The rise of the telephone began to offer a new, more immediate way to communicate. Though postcards continued to be popular for tourists, their role as the primary means of quick, everyday communication faded. The Golden Age was over, but it left behind an incredible legacy. Millions upon millions of these cards survive today, preserved in albums and archives around the world. They are more than just old pieces of paper. They are invaluable historical documents. They provide a unique and personal insight into the lives, loves, travels, and daily routines of ordinary people from a bygone era. So the next time you see an old postcard in an antique shop or a family album, take a closer look. Think about the person who chose it, the message they wrote, and the journey it took. You're holding a piece of history, a relic from a time when the world was falling in love with a new way to connect, one penny postcard at a time. It was a brief shining moment when a simple card could carry the weight of human connection across towns, countries, and continents. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey back to the golden age of postcards. I hope you found it as fascinating as I do. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel for more stories from history. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you won't miss our next adventure into the past. Imagine holding a small piece of cardboard, no bigger than your hand. Now imagine that this little card has crossed vast oceans, sailed through storms, and spent weeks, even months, tucked away in the belly of a great steamship. For millions of people over a century ago, this wasn't just a piece of cardboard. It was a lifeline. It was the only bridge connecting them to a world, a family they had left behind. Today, we're diving into the incredible stories of postcards that traveled by sea, carrying the hopes, dreams, and heartbreaks of immigrants to their loved ones back home. Think about the turn of the 20th century. Waves of people were leaving Europe, Asia, and other parts of the world, seeking a new life in places like America, Canada, or Australia. The journey itself was an epic undertaking. They would board massive ocean liners, crowded into steerage with hundreds of others, facing an uncertain future. Communication as we know it didn't exist. There were no instant messages, no video calls. There was only the mail, and the most affordable and quickest way to send a short message was the postcard. These weren't just wish-you-were-here messages, these were vital updates. A postcard sent from a port city like Southampton or Naples might be the first confirmation a family received that their son or daughter had safely boarded the ship. It would say something simple like boarding the SS Majestic. All is well. Pray for our safe passage. Your loving son Marco. That single sentence, scribbled in haste, would be treasured, read and reread, a tangible proof that the journey had begun. Life aboard these ships was a world unto itself. For those in first or second class, the voyage could be a luxurious affair, and their postcards reflected that. They'd send cards depicting the grand dining halls, the swimming pools, or the ship's orchestra. The message might be, having a splendid time on the Atlantic, the food is divine, see you in New York in a week. Love, Eleanor. These cards painted a picture of glamour and adventure on the high seas. But for the vast majority in steerage, the reality was starkly different. They were packed into tight, often unsanitary quarters below deck. The journey was long and tedious. Yet, even from these humble conditions, they sent postcards. Ship companies often printed postcards showing a romanticized grand image of the vessel. An emigrant might use one of these, and on the back write a message of pure hope. The ship is bigger than our whole village. The sea is endless. We are healthy and full of hope for America. Don't worry about us. Your Maria. The contrast between the grand image on the front and the simple, heartfelt message on the back is incredibly powerful. It was a way of reassuring the family, and perhaps themselves, that this difficult journey was worth it. The arrival was the next critical moment. Imagine the relief after weeks at sea, finally seeing the Statue of Liberty or the coastline of a new country. The first thing many new arrivals did, even before they had found a place to live, was to send a postcard home. A picture of the New York skyline with the words, "Arrived safely in America. The city is a giant. I'm overwhelmed but excited. I will write a longer letter soon. Oh my love." This postcard was the finish line of a long race, the confirmation that the perilous ocean crossing was over. It was the closing of one chapter and the breathless beginning of another. These postcards became cherished family heirlooms. They were physical links to relatives who had ventured into the unknown. For the families left behind, a postcard from across the ocean was a major event. The postman's arrival would be eagerly awaited. The card would be passed around, its message memorized, its picture studied for every detail. It was proof that their loved one was still out there, thinking of them, connected to them despite the thousands of miles of water in between. It was a promise of a future, a new branch of the family tree taking root in a new land. Sometimes the stories these postcards told were tinged with sadness. A card might speak of seasickness, of cramped conditions, or of the loneliness of being surrounded by strangers. The sea has been rough for 3 days. Many are ill. I miss the taste of mother's bread, but my spirits are strong. I hold your picture close. These messages reveal the immense courage it took to make such a journey, to trade everything familiar for a complete unknown. They are testaments to human resilience and the powerful pull of family ties. What's fascinating is how these postcards also served as a form of social currency. An immigrant might send a postcard of their new, impressive-looking factory or a bustling city street. It was a way of saying, "I made it. I am succeeding." It was a projection of success, a justification for the difficult decision to leave. Whether it was a humble brag or a genuine reflection of their new life, it helped shape the narrative for those back home, influencing others to perhaps follow in their footsteps. These small rectangles of paper are so much more than just old mail. They are time capsules. They capture the precise moment between departure and arrival, a period of transition and uncertainty, of hope and fear. They are the voices of millions, whispering their stories to us from across the decades. The next time you see an old postcard with a picture of a steamship, take a closer look. Think about the hand that wrote it, the journey it took, and the family that waited anxiously for its arrival. It's a powerful reminder that for generations, the simplest form of connection was enough to cross the widest of oceans. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey back in time. If you found these stories as moving as I do, please give this video a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel for more explorations into the fascinating world of the past. Let me know in the comments if you have any family stories tied to a journey across the sea. I'd love to hear them. Have you ever received a postcard and just stared at it, captivated by the image? It's more than just a piece of paper, isn't it? It's a tiny window into another world, a pocket-sized piece of art. Today, we're exploring the fascinating story of postcards as a platform for art in miniature. A canvas that has allowed countless artists, photographers, and printers to share their vision with the world. Before the age of digital galleries and social media feeds, how did artists get their work seen by the masses? While grand exhibitions in stuffy galleries were one way, the humble postcard offered a far more democratic and accessible route. It was the original shareable content. Think about it. For just a few pennies, you could own a reproduction of a famous painting, a stunning photograph of a distant land, or a whimsical illustration that made you smile. This wasn't just about sending a message. It was about sharing an experience, a piece of beauty. Let's turn the clock back to the late 19th and early 20th centuries, the golden age of postcards. This was a time of immense artistic innovation. Movements like Art Nouveau, with its flowing lines and nature-inspired motifs, found a perfect home on the postcard. Artists like Alphonse Mucha, famous for his theatrical posters, also created stunning postcard series. These weren't just afterthoughts. They were meticulously designed works of art intended for a wide audience. Owning a Mucha postcard was like owning a small print from the master himself. People didn't just send them. They collected them, treasured them, and displayed them in elaborate albums. These albums became personal galleries, curated by ordinary people, showcasing a vast array of styles and subjects. Photographers, too, seized the postcard as a powerful medium. In an era before glossy magazines were on every coffee table, photographic postcards brought the world to people's doorsteps. They captured everything: majestic landscapes, bustling city streets, historical events, and intimate portraits. Pioneering photographers used postcards to document society and showcase their technical skill. They experimented with composition, lighting, and even hand coloring to make their images pop. A black and white photograph of the Eiffel Tower could be transformed into a vibrant, hand-tinted masterpiece, making the scene feel even more magical and alive. These photographer artists weren't just capturing reality. They were interpreting it, turning a simple view into a statement. And we can't forget the printers. The artistry wasn't just in the original image. It was in the reproduction. The printers were the unsung heroes of the postcard world. They perfected techniques like chromolithography, a complex process that allowed for the creation of rich, multicolored images. Each color required a separate stone plate, meticulously drawn by a skilled artisan. The quality of the printing could make or break a postcard. The best printers were masters of their craft, ensuring that the artist's original vision was translated faithfully, with vibrant colors and sharp details, onto that small rectangle of cardstock. Their workshops were hives of creativity, blending technical skill with artistic sensibility. The postcard also became a space for graphic designers and illustrators to let their imaginations run wild. From humorous cartoons and political satire to elegant typography and charming character designs, the postcard was a playground for visual storytelling. Holidays, in particular, sparked a surge of creativity. Christmas, Easter, and Halloween postcards became a genre unto themselves, filled with unique and sometimes wonderfully bizarre imagery. These illustrators developed distinct styles that became recognizable and beloved by the public. They were the original influencers, shaping popular tastes and visual culture, one postcard at a time. Even today, in our hyper-digital world, the tradition continues. Independent artists and photographers still use postcards as a tangible way to share their work. Visit any craft market, independent bookstore, or artist studio, and you'll find racks of unique postcards. They serve as affordable art prints, business cards, and a personal way to connect with an audience. There's something special about holding a physical piece of art, something an email or a social media post just can't replicate. It's a direct connection to the creator's hand and heart. When you buy a postcard from an artist today, you're not just getting a piece of mail, you're supporting their passion. You're becoming a patron of the arts in a small but meaningful way. You're participating in a tradition that's over a century old, the celebration of art in miniature. These modern postcards carry on the legacy of their predecessors, proving that even in a fast-paced world, there is still a place for a small, beautifully crafted image that can travel the globe and bring a moment of joy and connection. So the next time you pick up a postcard, take a closer look. See it not just as a souvenir or a quick note, but as a miniature masterpiece. Consider the artist who framed the shot, the illustrator who drew the lines, the printer who brought it to life. Each postcard tells a story, not just in the words written on the back, but in the art presented on the front. It's a testament to the enduring power of a simple, beautiful image to connect us all. It's a gallery in your hand, a museum in your mailbox. Thank you so much for joining me on this artistic journey through the world of postcards. I hope it's given you a new appreciation for these little treasures. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you won't miss our next story. Hey everyone, and welcome back to our journey through the fascinating world of postcards. In our last episode, we explored how these little cards became big business. Today we're getting personal. We're diving into how postcards became tiny time capsules, capturing the most precious moments of our lives. Birthdays, holidays, anniversaries, and all the little celebrations in between. So grab a cup of tea, get comfortable, and let's uncover these messages of memory. Before the digital age, before social media feeds and instant messages, how did people share their joy across the miles? Often, it was with a simple, beautiful postcard. Think about it. A birthday greeting wasn't just a text that could be deleted. It was a physical object, chosen with care, written by hand, and sent on a journey. The image on the front might be a beautiful bouquet of flowers, a funny cartoon, or a serene landscape, a small gift in itself. The message on the back, though brief, was packed with meaning. Happy birthday, my dearest friend. Wish I could be there to celebrate with you. All my love. Every time you looked at that card, you could feel the warmth of that wish, see the familiar handwriting, and remember the person who sent it. It was tangible proof that someone, somewhere, was thinking of you on your special day. The same was true for major holidays. Christmas, Easter, New Year's, these were peak postcard seasons. Families would send out dozens of cards, each one a miniature ambassador of holiday cheer. A classic Christmas postcard might feature a snowy village scene, a group of corollas, or a beautifully decorated tree. The message would be simple: Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to you and yours. But it was more than just a greeting, it was a tradition. It was a way of connecting with a wide circle of friends and family, updating them on your well-being, and reinforcing the bonds that held you all together. Receiving these cards in the mail was part of the holiday magic. You'd line them up on the mantelpiece or string them across the living room, creating a festive gallery of love and friendship from all over the country or even the world. Each card was a reminder that you were part of a community, even if separated by distance. And what about anniversaries? These milestones of love and commitment were perfect occasions for a postcard. A husband might send a card to his wife while away on a business trip, with a picture of a romantic landmark and a message saying, "Happy anniversary, my love. Counting the days until I'm home." Or children might send a card to their parents, celebrating decades of marriage. These weren't just mass-produced greeting cards. Postcards offered a unique combination of a beautiful image and a personal, handwritten note. The picture could be symbolic: two swans, a blooming rose garden, a forever knot. The message was a private testament to a shared life. These cards became cherished keepsakes, tucked away in memory boxes, tangible symbols of an enduring love story that could be revisited years, even decades later. They were proof that love could travel, that it could be held in your hand. Beyond the big annual events, postcards also captured the just because moments. A card sent from a summer vacation showing a sunny beach with the words "Wish you were here" wasn't just about making someone jealous. It was about sharing an experience. It was saying, "I'm having a wonderful time and I'm thinking of you. This beautiful view made me think of you." It was a way to bring your loved ones along on your journey, even if only in spirit. Similarly, a card congratulating someone on a new job, a new home, or the arrival of a new baby was a quick, easy, and heartfelt way to share in their joy. "Congratulations on the new arrival. So thrilled for you all." Written on the back of a card with a picture of a stork or a cute baby animal. These small gestures mattered. They were the glue that held relationships together across time and distance, turning fleeting moments into lasting memories. Let's take a closer look at the actual messages. Because space was limited, people became masters of concise, heartfelt communication. There was no room for fluff. Every word counted. You'd find phrases like "thinking of you always," "sending all our love," or "hope to see you soon." It was a form of micro-journaling, a snapshot of a feeling at a specific point in time. The handwriting itself tells a story. The elegant, looping cursive of a grandmother, the hurried scroll of a traveling salesman, the careful block letters of a child writing to their grandparents. Each script is as unique as a fingerprint, adding another layer of personality and intimacy to the message. When we find these old postcards today in antique shops or family albums, we're not just reading words. We're connecting with the person who wrote them. We're holding a piece of their life, a moment of their time, preserved for us to discover. Imagine finding a box of your great-grandparents' postcards. You might find a card from their honeymoon in 1920 with a picture of Niagara Falls. You might find a birthday card sent to your grandfather when he was just a boy. You might find a Christmas card from a long-lost relative who lived on the other side of the world. Each card is a piece of a puzzle, a breadcrumb on the trail of your own family's history. They tell stories that might otherwise have been forgotten. They reveal connections, travels, and celebrations. They show us that while the technology has changed, the human desire to connect, to share joy, and to tell our loved ones that we are thinking of them remains exactly the same. These messages of memory are more than just ink on cardboard. They are our heritage. So, the next time you see an old postcard, take a moment to really look at it. Read the message, study the postmark, and appreciate the journey it took. It's a testament to a time when communication was more deliberate, more tangible, and in many ways more personal. It's a beautiful reminder that the most important messages are the ones sent with thought and care, preserving a moment of connection for all time. Thank you so much for joining me on this nostalgic trip today. I hope it's given you a new appreciation for these humble but powerful pieces of paper. What are some of the most memorable messages you've ever received, whether on a postcard or otherwise? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our next and final episode, where we'll explore the legacy and future of the postcard in the digital age. Take care and keep sharing your stories. Have you ever stumbled upon a dusty old album tucked away in an attic or a forgotten corner of a second-hand shop? You gently open the cover, and inside it's not photos of strangers, but a world frozen in time. A world of handwritten messages, exotic stamps, and miniature works of art. Today, we're diving into the fascinating hobby of postcard collecting, where albums become treasure chests and every card tells a story. As the 19th century rolled into the 20th, the world was swept up in what can only be described as a postcard craze. Suddenly, these small, affordable rectangles of cardstock were everywhere. They were the social media of their day, a quick and easy way to send a greeting, share a view, or just say, thinking of you. And with this explosion in popularity came a new kind of enthusiast, the deltiologist. That's the official term for a postcard collector. And their passion turned these everyday items into cherished collectibles. It wasn't just about receiving a postcard from a friend. People actively sought them out. Kiosks, souvenir shops, and even local pharmacies became hunting grounds. You could find postcards depicting your own hometown, a famous landmark you'd only dreamed of visiting, a celebrated actress, or even a comical cartoon. The variety was staggering. This wasn't just mail. This was art, history, and culture you could hold in your hand. And with so many beautiful cards in circulation, what was a person to do with them all? The answer was simple. Start an album. These early postcard albums were marvels in themselves. Often beautifully bound in leather or embossed cloth, they were designed specifically for this new hobby. Inside, the pages had pre-cut slits or corner pockets, allowing collectors to neatly arrange their finds without glue or damage. Filling one of these albums was a labor of love. It was a personal curation, a reflection of the collector's tastes, travels, and interests. One page might be a collection of majestic ships sailing the high seas, the next filled with intricate Art Nouveau designs, and another dedicated entirely to pictures of adorable cats in funny hats. Yes, that was a thing even back then. Flipping through one of these vintage albums today feels like stepping into a time machine. You're not just looking at pictures. You're connecting with the past on a deeply personal level. Here's a card from the 1904 St. Louis World's Fair, with a message on the back from a son to his mother, describing the marvels he's seen. On the next page, a hand-tinted photo of a quiet English village with a simple "Wish you were here" scrawled in elegant cursive. Each card is a snapshot, a moment captured. The handwriting, the postmark, the 1-cent stamp, they are all clues in a historical puzzle. The themes collectors pursued were as diverse as the collectors themselves. Some focused on specific artists, like the famous Raphael Tuck and Sons, known for their high-quality lithography. Others specialized in transportation, gathering cards of early automobiles, majestic steam locomotives, and pioneering aircraft. There were real photo postcards, which were actual photographs developed onto postcard stock. These offer an unfiltered, high-definition glimpse into the era. People collected cards of royalty, military scenes from the Great War, advertisements for products long gone, and even novelty cards made of leather, wood, or aluminum. The album wasn't just a random assortment. It was a carefully constructed narrative. Imagine the social aspect of this hobby. In the evenings, families would gather in the parlor, not around a television, but around a postcard album. It was a source of entertainment and education. Children would learn about geography from pictures of faraway lands. Adults would share memories sparked by a familiar seaside resort or a city street. Friends would visit and proudly show off their latest acquisitions, perhaps even trading duplicates to help each other complete a set. The postcard album was a conversation starter, a focal point for social connection. The act of collecting also fostered a keen eye for detail and a sense of discovery. A true deltiologist learned to identify printers, decipher postmarks, and understand the nuances of different printing techniques. They became amateur historians, piecing together stories from the fragments of information on each card. Was this card sent before or after the 1907 law that allowed messages to be written on the address side? Is this an uncommon view of a well-known landmark? Finding a rare card, one that filled a gap in a series or was in pristine condition, brought a thrill that any collector of any era can understand. It's the thrill of the hunt, the joy of the find. As the decades passed, the golden age of postcards waned. The telephone became more common, and the pace of life quickened. Yet the hobby of deltiology never disappeared. It evolved. Today, collectors connect online, sharing their finds in digital forums and buying and selling on global marketplaces. But the magic of the physical album remains. There is something profoundly satisfying about the tangible nature of these cards. The weight of the cardstock, the texture of the embossed details, the faint scent of old paper, it is a sensory experience that a digital image just can't replicate. Modern collectors continue to build these treasure chests. Some still seek out century-old cards, preserving these fragile pieces of history for future generations. Others focus on more modern cards from the mid-20th century, with their vibrant chrome colors and nostalgic roadside motels. The themes are endless. By collecting, they are not just hoarding paper. They are acting as curators of popular culture, saving the everyday ephemera that so often gets lost to time. Each album is a personal museum, a testament to the collector's passion and a window into 1,000 different worlds. So, the next time you see an old postcard, whether in a flea market, an antique store, or your own family's heirlooms, take a closer look. Think about the journey it has taken, the hands it has passed through. It's more than just a piece of mail. It's a potential treasure, a story waiting to be told, and a perfect candidate for a new page in a collector's album. The golden age of postcard collecting may be in the past, but the joy of discovery is timeless. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into the world of postcard collecting. If you enjoyed this little slice of history, please give this video a like, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories from the past. Let me know in the comments if you've ever collected postcards or have a favorite one in your family. See you next time. Hello and welcome back to our journey through the history of the postcard. Today we returning to a chapter that is both heartbreaking and profoundly human. The role of postcards during times of war. In an era before instant messaging or video calls, these small rectangles of cardstock were lifelines, carrying whispers of love, longing, and hope across continents torn apart by conflict. They were fragile bridges connecting the thunder of the battlefield to the quiet anxiety of the home front. Imagine being a soldier miles from everything you know and love, surrounded by uncertainty. Your world has been reduced to survival, to following orders, to the camaraderie of your fellow soldiers. In the midst of this chaos, you're handed a small, standardized card. It might be a field postcard with pre-printed phrases you can cross out to indicate your status. I am well. I have been admitted into hospital. I am being sent down to the base. A simple checkmark next to a line could quell a family's worst fears for weeks. These cards were designed for efficiency. Sensors needed to be able to read them quickly, and space was limited. But within these constraints, soldiers found incredible ways to express themselves. A hastily scrawled, "All my love, Tom," at the bottom, or "Kisses for the children," tucked into a corner, transformed a generic form into an intimate message. It was a soldier's way of saying, "I am still me. I am still your husband, your son, your father, and I am thinking of you." Let's look at some of these. Here's one from the First World War. The front shows a patriotic image, perhaps a flag or a drawing of soldiers marching with determination. The art was meant to boost morale, both for the sender and the receiver. But it's the back that tells the real story. The handwriting is rushed, the message brief. It says, "Dearest Mary, received your parcel. The socks are a godsend. It's cold here, but we are holding on. Don't worry about me. Praying this is all over soon. All my love, Arthur." Think about what Arthur isn't saying. He can't describe the mud, the fear, the constant noise. The censorship rules wouldn't allow it, and he wouldn't want to worry Mary anyway. So he focuses on the tangible, the relatable, a pair of warm socks. In that simple acknowledgement, Mary can feel she's made a difference, that a piece of her care has reached him and provided comfort. The postcard becomes a shared secret, a testament to a love that endures even the most brutal conditions. There were also postcards with a touch of humor, a glimpse of the soldier's spirit refusing to be broken. You might find a cartoon of a soldier complaining about army food or a light-hearted drawing about life in the barracks. This was gallows humor, a coping mechanism. By sharing a small, manufactured laugh with a loved one back home, a soldier could momentarily push back the darkness and reassure them that his spirit at least was still intact. Then there were the postcards sent from home to the front. These were often filled with news of daily life. The garden is doing well. Little Jimmy took his first steps. Your dog misses you terribly. This news might seem trivial, but to a soldier it was an anchor. It was a reminder of the normal, peaceful world he was fighting to return to. These snippets of home life were a powerful motivator, a reason to keep going. They painted a picture of the future he was hoping for, a future where he would once again be part of that simple, beautiful world. Many of these postcards were beautiful in their own right. During the First World War, for instance, silk postcards became incredibly popular. These were exquisitely embroidered pieces of silk, often with floral designs, flags, or sentimental messages like "Forget me not" or "Thinking of you." A soldier might buy one from a local French or Belgian woman and send it home as a precious keepsake. It was a piece of beauty from a world of ugliness, a delicate treasure that a mother or a sweetheart would cherish forever. It represented a moment of tenderness in a time of violence. The messages were often heartbreakingly optimistic. "I'll be home by Christmas," a common refrain that for so many would not come true. "We're giving them a good fight. It won't be long now." This hope, whether truly felt or written for the sake of the family at home, is a running theme. The postcard had to carry the weight of that hope. It couldn't betray the fear or the despair that was surely present. It had to be a vessel of strength. As we move into the Second World War, the style of postcards changed, but their purpose remained the same. Photographic postcards became more common, showing smiling soldiers posing with their unit or views of the places they were stationed. A soldier in North Africa might send a picture of the pyramids, or one in the Pacific might send a view of a tropical island. These were a way of sharing his journey, of saying, "Look where I am. It's a world away, but I'm still connected to you." The V-mail, or Victory Mail of World War II, was a fascinating innovation. To save precious cargo space on planes and ships, letters were written on special forms, photographed and shrunk down to microfilm. The film was then flown overseas, and the letters were printed back out at their destination. While not a traditional postcard, it operated on the same principle of brevity and efficiency. It ensured that millions of messages could crisscross the globe, keeping families connected. Let's look at this simple card here. It reads, "My dearest, all is well. Don't worry. I love you more than words can say. Yours forever." There is no date, no location, just a name. But in those few lines, an entire universe of emotion exists. It's a promise, a reassurance, and a declaration of love that transcends time and distance. It's a testament to the fact that even when stripped of everything else, the human need to connect, to love, and to be loved remains. These wartime postcards are more than just historical artifacts. They are tiny memorials. Each one represents a person, a family, a story of love and sacrifice. They remind us that in the grand, sweeping narrative of war, history is ultimately made up of individual human hearts, hoping, waiting, and reaching out to one another across the void. They are gentle whispers of humanity that somehow manage to be heard above the roar of cannons. Thank you for joining me on this poignant part of our journey. The stories these postcards tell are a powerful reminder of the resilience of the human spirit. If you found this moving, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel for more stories from the world of postcards. Join us next time as we explore how the postcard adapted to the jet age and the dawn of a new era of travel. Hey everyone, welcome back to our journey through the history of the postcard. Today we re-entering a chapter many of us have lived through. The slow fade of the postcard and the rise of a powerful nostalgia for what it represents. Grab a cup of tea, get comfortable, and let's dive into the twilight years of this paper treasure. For over a century, the postcard was the undisputed king of quick, casual communication. It was the text message of its time, the social media update before the internet even existed. But as the 20th century marched on, new challengers began to appear on the horizon. The first major rival, the telephone. Suddenly, you didn't have to wait days for a message to cross the country. You could pick up a receiver, dial a number, and hear a loved one's voice in real time. Long-distance calls were expensive at first, reserved for special occasions. But as technology improved and costs came down, the phone became a staple in every home. Why send a postcard saying, "Arrived safely," when you could call and have a whole conversation? The immediacy of the spoken word was a powerful competitor. Think about it from a traveler's perspective. You're on a grand tour of Europe. In the 1950s, you'd be at a kiosk every few days, picking out postcards, scribbling notes and mailing them off. By the 1980s, you might still send a few, but you'd also be searching for a phone booth to make that weekly call home, sharing your adventures with much more detail and emotion than a small rectangle of cardstock could ever allow. The postcard was still there, but its role as a primary means of communication was starting to shrink. Then came the digital revolution. The late 20th century brought a tidal wave of change that would forever alter how we connect. First came the personal computer, and with it, electronic mail, or as we all know it, email. This was a game changer. You could type a long, detailed letter, attach photos, and send it across the globe in seconds for virtually no cost. The postcard, with its reliance on physical mail and its inherent delays, simply couldn't compete on speed or convenience. The decline accelerated. Postcard racks in tourist shops, once overflowing with dozens of local views, started to look a little less vibrant. The variety dwindled. The act of writing and sending a postcard began to feel quaint, anachronistic even. Why go to the trouble of finding a stamp and a mailbox when you could send an email from an internet cafe, or later, from a laptop in your hotel room? And then the final blow, the smartphone and social media. This wasn't just a competitor. It was a complete paradigm shift. Now you don't just tell people you're at the Eiffel Tower. You post a selfie in front of it, instantly sharing the moment with hundreds of friends. You can live stream your walk on the beach. You can video call your family from a mountaintop. The entire experience of travel and sharing became immediate, visual, and broadcast to a wide audience. In this new world of instant gratification and digital streams, the postcard seemed like a relic from a bygone era. A slow, deliberate analog object in a fast-paced digital world. Production numbers dropped. The once mighty industry that produced billions of cards a year dwindled to a fraction of its former self. For all intents and purposes, the golden age of the postcard was over. It had been replaced. But here's where the story takes a fascinating turn. Just as the postcard seemed destined for the dustbin of history, something wonderful happened. We started to miss it. As our lives became more and more saturated with digital noise, endless notifications, overflowing inboxes, and curated social media feeds, we began to feel a sense of fatigue, a yearning for something more tangible, more personal, more real. And that's when we rediscovered the postcard. Not as a primary means of communication, but as something else entirely, a token of affection, a tangible piece of nostalgia, a deliberate act of slowing down. The very things that made the postcard obsolete, its slowness, its physical nature, its personal touch, suddenly became its greatest strengths. Receiving a postcard in the mail today is a special event. Amidst a pile of bills and junk mail, that glossy image and handwritten note stand out. It's a small, unexpected gift. It tells you that someone, somewhere in the world, took a moment out of their busy trip, not just to think of you, but to act on that thought. They chose a card they thought you'd like. They found a pen. They sat down and wrote a message just for you. They bought a stamp. and they found a mailbox. That's a level of effort and intention that a text message or a social media tag simply cannot replicate. It's a physical manifestation of a connection. You can hold it in your hand. You can stick it on your fridge, use it as a bookmark, or tuck it away in a memory box. It's a piece of their journey that becomes a permanent part of your life. It doesn't get buried in a digital feed or deleted to free up storage space. This nostalgia has sparked a quiet revival. People are starting to seek out postcards again, not just as souvenirs, but as a way to engage in a more meaningful form of connection. Artists and small businesses are designing beautiful modern postcards. Subscription services have popped up that send you postcards from around the world. Communities like Postcrossing connect strangers globally through the simple act of exchanging cards, creating a worldwide web of friendship, one stamp at a time. The postcard has evolved. It's no longer about the speed of the message, but the depth of the sentiment. It's a rebellion against the impersonal nature of digital life. It's a conscious choice to embrace something with history, with texture, and with heart. It proves that even in our hyper-connected world, there is still a profound human need for a simple, tangible message that says, "I'm thinking of you." The postcard may have declined, but its charm, its magic, and its place in our hearts have never been stronger. Thank you so much for joining me on this leg of our postcard story. It's a reminder that sometimes the old ways have a value that technology can't replace. If you enjoyed this, please give the video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the final chapter in our series. Hello and welcome back to our journey through the history of the postcard. In our final chapter, we're going to reflect on a simple yet profound question. In an age of instant messages and fleeting digital updates, why do postcards still matter? Why does this small piece of cardstock, sent across miles and days, still hold such a special place in our hearts? Let's think about it. When was the last time you received a postcard? Try to remember that feeling. It wasn't just another notification on your phone. It was a tangible object. You held it in your hands. You could feel the texture of the paper, see the slight smudge of the ink, and trace the curve of the handwriting. It was a physical piece of someone's journey, a fragment of their experience delivered right to your doorstep. The magic of the postcard lies in its deliberate nature. Sending one requires more effort than tapping out a text. You have to choose the right card, one that captures the essence of a place or a feeling. Maybe it's a breathtaking landscape, quirky piece of local art, or even a funny cartoon. That choice in itself is a small gift. It says, "I saw this, and it made me think of you." Then comes the act of writing. In a limited space, every word counts. You can't just ramble on. You have to distill your thoughts into a few meaningful sentences. "The weather is beautiful. Wish you were here. Thinking of you." These simple phrases, when written by hand, carry an incredible weight of sincerity. Handwriting is personal. It's a unique part of who we are. Seeing a friend's familiar scrawl or a family member's neat print connects us to them in a way a standardized font never could. And what about the stamp? The stamp is the postcard's passport. It's a tiny piece of art that represents a country, a culture, a moment in time. Choosing and affixing a stamp is the final step in preparing the card for its long journey. It's a seal of intention, a promise that this message will travel across cities, oceans, and continents to find its way to one specific person. Think of the journey itself. While our digital messages bounce off satellites in milliseconds, a postcard travels through the real world. It's handled by postal workers, sorted in mailrooms, and carried in bags and trucks. It accumulates a story of its own, a silent testament to the vast network that connects us all. When it finally arrives in your mailbox, it's not just a message. It's a traveler that has completed its quest. Postcards are time capsules. Unlike a digital photo that can get lost in a cloud server or an old hard drive, a postcard is a physical artifact. We tuck them into books, pin them on bulletin boards, or stick them to our refrigerators. Years later, we might stumble upon one and be instantly transported back in time. We're not just remembering the image on the front. We're remembering the person who sent it, the time in our lives when we received it, and the feeling of being thought of. They are symbols of adventure and exploration. Every postcard from a distant land is a window into another world. It's a splash of color from a bustling market in Morocco, a glimpse of the serene temples of Kyoto, or a view of the majestic peaks of the Alps. They inspire our own wanderlust and remind us of the incredible diversity and beauty of our planet. They tell us that the world is big, and there is so much to see. But postcards aren't just for grand travels. They can be sent from your own hometown, celebrating the beauty you find in the everyday. A card showing a local park, a favorite cafe, or a historic building can be just as meaningful. It's a way of sharing your world, your personal geography, with someone you care about. It's saying, this is a piece of my life and I want you to have it. In our fast-paced world, the postcard is an act of slowing down. It's an invitation to pause, reflect, and connect on a deeper, more human level. The person who sends it takes a moment out of their busy trip or their day to focus entirely on you. And when you receive it, you take a moment to read it, to look at the picture, and to appreciate that gesture. It's a shared moment of quiet connection, a small island of calm in a sea of digital noise. The warmth of a postcard is undeniable. It's the warmth of human touch, the warmth of shared memory, and the warmth of genuine affection. It doesn't demand an immediate reply. It doesn't come with notifications or read receipts. It simply arrives delivering its quiet message of care and waits patiently to be discovered. It's a symbol of a relationship that doesn't need constant validation to thrive. So, where does the postcard go from here? Some might see it as a relic of a bygone era, a charming but outdated form of communication, but I believe its endurance proves the opposite. In a world that is becoming increasingly digital, we crave things that are real, things that are tangible, and things that are personal. The postcard offers all of that. It's a counterbalance to the ephemeral nature of our online lives. The act of sending and receiving postcards keeps a beautiful tradition alive. It's a way of participating in a story that has been unfolding for over 150 years. From the very first correspondence card to the glossy tourist cards of today, the mission has remained the same: to carry a thought, a memory, and a piece of the heart from one person to another. The next time you're on a trip, or even just walking through your own city, I encourage you to stop and look at a rack of postcards. Pick one out. Think of someone who would be happy to hear from you. Buy a stamp, find a pen, and take 5 minutes to write a short message. Tell them about your day, share a beautiful sight, or simply let them know you're thinking of them. Then drop it in a mailbox and send it on its way. You'll be doing more than just sending a piece of mail. You'll be sending a small package of joy. You'll be creating a physical artifact of your connection, a keepsake that might be treasured for years to come. You'll be participating in this wonderful, enduring tradition that reminds us, in the most simple and beautiful way, that we are all connected. Postcards are more than just paper and ink. They are symbols of thoughtfulness, tangible pieces of our travels, and guardians of our most cherished memories. They are a testament to the fact that sometimes the most meaningful messages are the ones that take their time. Thank you so much for joining me on this incredible journey through the story of the postcard. It's been a privilege to share these stories with you. If you've enjoyed this series, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel for more explorations into the fascinating history of everyday things. Until next time, keep exploring, keep connecting, and maybe send a postcard.